Good day, colleagues. Before I begin my address, permit me first to congratulate General Secretary Sharon Barrow for her continued leadership of this important organization, and yes, to thank her for the warm invitation extended for me to deliver this address to the 5th World Congress of the International Trade Union Confederation. It must be a proud moment to have this Congress hosted in your home country, as you pass the baton after a distinguished career as ITUC General Secretary for the past 10 years, and before that, President of the ITUC and its predecessor, the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions. Indeed, it was my pleasure to meet with you in New York City 2 weeks ago during the UN General Assembly, when we both participated in a work that will inure to the benefit of all of our workers globally. Let me also acknowledge your President, Ayuba Waba, and the executive of the ITUC. The opportunity to speak with you today really resonated with me. You see, I come from and have the honor of leading a small island in the Caribbean Sea, whose stability and progress is largely due to the core values, mission, and work of the trade union movement. Indeed, my own political party was itself responsible for the formation of the Barbados Workers' Union, which this year is in its 81st year going forward, and we therefore have not come to this dance recently. That is why, even though I am not a unionist myself, I cannot help but see the symmetry between the operations and purposes of political parties and labor unions, especially when we spring from the same philosophical base. At our best, both groups are guided by consensus and fairness, guided by a code of conduct, policies, protocols, and rules that give us a framework within which we can robustly but respectfully operate. At our very best, disagreement is encouraged, but never disrespect. But the most important similarity is that political parties and trade unions share a common supporter base, that of workers. Everyday people with their hopes, their grievances, and their ambitions. They join our ranks to collectively strive for a better today and a better tomorrow for themselves and their families. And while much of the daily media coverage is locked on to macroeconomic turmoil, you, better than most, understand the micro impact. Workers literally face a world changing right before their very eyes. Pandemics changing the way that they work, the climate crisis impacting where they can work, and the war in Ukraine and its knock-on effects dictating if they can work. The result of which has been job insecurity, price hikes, and untold mental strain on everyday workers and families. The reality is, your 200 million members across this earth need your leadership now more so than ever. Indeed, much of my global advocacy has been about a call for a global moral strategic leadership. And that doesn't only come within governments. It comes from wherever people are prepared to take those stands from a moral basis and on strategic issues and across the globe. You heard me address the need for immediate action and reform regarding the climate crisis many times. And when I spoke at the 76th session of the UN General Assembly, I had emphasized then that we have the means to invest in protecting the most vulnerable on our planet from a change in climate, but we choose not to do so. Not because we don't have enough, but because we do not have the will to distribute that which we have. And it is also regrettably because the faceless few do not fear the consequences sufficiently. My friends, ours is and has been a rallying cry for the ushering in of a period of global calm and focused cooperation. Cooperation on issues that concern us all. Global public goods, such as the climate reform and action needed to fight the climate crisis and the groundwater crisis. The ability to fight pandemics, be it the COVID-19 pandemic or the antimicrobial resistance pandemic. The global pursuit of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the normal development trajectory that we want for our people in our countries. And ultimately, the reshaping of the global financial system and multilateral reform in order to allow us to achieve those global public goods in an easier and more comfortable way. As Prime Minister of a small country, I understand more acutely than most the value of cooperation and harmony in the pursuit of problem solving. I understand the important role that trade unions play in developing and managing a country. In Barbados, all of our government's major decision-making has gone through, for over 3 decades now, our tripartite social partnership framework. Trade unions such as your member and our affiliated colleague who is with you, who is a member of parliament in my parliament, Tony Moore, General Secretary in the Barbados Workers' Union, they all work with us together to ensure that in collaboration with government and the private sector and the other unions, that there are critical areas of concern and development that we can address for the betterment of workers and for the betterment of all of our citizens and ultimately our country. Before closing, my friends, I'm happy to share with you, yes, that on the 1st of September of this year, Barbados became the 20th country to ratify the Violence and Harassment at Work Convention, better known as number 190. This, as the government continues to recognize that even as the country continues to tackle the macro challenges, the guarantee of rights and the other tenets of decent work must remain at the heart of our goal for a sustainable future that guarantees workers' security and opportunity. And that is why, even in the middle of an IMF program, we moved to put a minimum wage for our people, because we understood that it is always the right time to do the right thing, irrespective of how cloudy it is outside. My friends, it is against this backdrop that I salute the ITUC, the world's largest trade union federation. You hold such an incredible responsibility for creating greater stability and sustainability in our world today by defending workers' rights and interests globally. As Barbados joins your membership through the BWU, the Barbados Workers' Union, I know that many of your constituents from around the world share my sense of concern about the uncertain global challenges that we face. But I also know that many of your constituents, like me, are resolute and unwaveringly optimistic that together, in solidarity, together, when we put people at the core of our decisions, yes, we can make the world a better place. On behalf of the government and people of Barbados, I wish you all every success during your Congress. The ITUC has the ability to make meaningful change in our world, and together we look forward, therefore, to seeing us reach to the point where the new social contract cannot be a topic of conversation or speeches, but will come to reality for the betterment of our people. I thank you.